The RTM Radio Network, Yankee and the Brit here on a Sunday night.
Can you hear this?
Ooh, that fancy telephone ring.
Hello, this is Richard Lynch. I'm supposed to have an interview with you folks this evening.
Yes, you do.
Good evening. You are live on the Yankee and the Brit show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
You're welcome. How are you tonight?
Oh, doing great. Been busy with the farm and all, but we are excited to be here with you.
What kind of farm you have?
Well, I've got a little horse farm, and we grow a lot of hay, and we're getting the last bit of the hay up today, and so we baled about 500 and some bales today, so that's a good day's work.
I reckon so. What do you do, round bales?
Oh, no, we do all the old-fashioned way. We bale square bales.
Oh, don't tell me somebody's got to go up in the hay mow and stack that.
That somebody would be me.
Oh, Lord, I can remember doing that when I was in the younger days.
Oh yeah. It earns your victuals when you get through eating. When you get through work and you're tired, you want to eat. That's for sure.
You ain't kidding. You ever have a good cold glass of milk before you go up there and work for a couple hours?
Well, if I do that, then I'll probably just want to sit there and finish dinner. So I wait till I get through eating, get through doing it, then I get that.
Oh, I worked for some people when I was young, and the Mrs. Farmer Mrs. Marison was her name. She used to make us a great lunch every day, some meatloaf, potatoes, corn, peas, anything, And then I'd go out in the cooler, and I'd get me a big old glass of fresh milk, and I'd down about 2 big glasses of that, then go up in the hay mow, and about 15 minutes later, all that milk was coming back up.
Oh, that's exactly what I mean.
That's great.
Well, it sounds to me like we can relate on that hay thing.
Oh, Lord, that's something you don't forget, I'll tell you that.
I think I'd be asleep on the hay, never mind being sick on the hay.
Where are you folks located?
Oh, we're in Bells, Texas, about 50-some miles north of Dallas.
All right. Well, Texas would know a little bit about hay down there. That's a fact.
Oh, yeah.
And good country music.
Yes.
Well, without a doubt. Especially some of that Richard Lynch music we've been playing.
Oh, well, thank you guys.
Are you kidding me? That's ever since we heard you on Joe Graham's show, the Hillbilly Express, we've been listening to it pretty steady, actually.
Well, thank you guys. We're pretty proud of this new album, and it's had a lot of success. And we get to talk to great people like you guys who play our music, and it's a good thing all the way around.
That's the nicest thing anybody's ever said. How'd you get into music?
Well, actually, I'm a second generation. By that I mean my dad was a great country music singer, entertainer. Played all over the tri-state area, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. So I grew up listening to that great country music. People like Mel Street and Conway Twitty and Buck Owens and Merle Haggard and George Jones and on and on and on. So when I got up in the morning, Dad would be in the kitchen and get ready to do his daily work, and he'd have that good old country music on the radio. And by the time I was 8 years old, my dad invited me up on his stage. And he didn't invite me, he grabbed me and threw me up on the stage, and I did an old song back then. It was called I Got a Tiger by the Tail. And so the crowd was well responsive, and I was bit pretty early by the country music bug, so I've been playing with it ever since.
Well, it sounds like with all those influences, that's why your music still sounds like it's got some country twang to it.
Oh, yes.
Well, I appreciate that. I really love great traditional country music, and there's a lot of folks out there that really they really miss it, and they're looking for it, and so I'm doing my best to keep them old traditional songs going, and not necessarily the old songs. A lot of my music is brand new music, but it's got that real country flavor to it, stuff that you can relate with.
Well, that's it. That's what us baby boomers were brought up on, George Reeves and Crystal Gale and, a lot of those old country folks from way back in the beginning. And that's what I grew up with. As soon as I realized what a record was, I started looking through my mom's albums, and there was Jim Reeves, for one, was, one of the ones I distinctly remember. And then grew up with all that. And, and I hear your music, and it's so reminiscent of that. It's nice to get that good country feeling again from some serious music instead of this half rap, half whatever you want to call it.
Well, I agree 100%. And, when folks talk to me and they play my music and they come out to our shows and, we get to meet these people that come. Some people drive, 2, 3, 4 states away just to come hook out and spend a weekend with us. It's just amazing because there is such a need for this type of country music again. And like I say, I'm flattered and amazed that I get to do what I love and kind of make a little money at what we're doing. Not getting rich, but we're enjoying what we're doing, and we're getting by, and we're doing something that we feel there's a need for.
Oh yeah, and you can definitely tell that you have the heart and soul for that kind of thing. It's bred into you. You can just feel it from the music.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Hey, one of the listeners wanted to know, she says, it's Christine Lewis. She says, when will he be in Tennessee? I can see on his .com page that he's all over Texas, but nowhere near Tennessee.
Well, we have been in Tennessee a lot here recently. Last week we did some recording in Nashville, and then last Sunday and Monday we were in Nashville for an award show. I don't know when we'll be booked again. We usually play 3 or 4 times a year in Tennessee, different places, different locations. You just tell her to keep looking on that website, and we'll post something soon, I'm sure.
Where do you live at?
Well, I live on a farm just about 30 miles north of Cincinnati, southwestern Ohio. Been in and around the southwestern Ohio most of my life. There's still, where we live is still kind of rural, and we love the farming way of life, the horses, the hay, the cattle, dogs, and we're lucky we get to live pretty close to how we sing. We love the great country music, and we get to live in a country environment, so I'm pretty daggone fortunate.
Well, no wonder we can relate to that hay-mow kind of thing, because I was born and raised up there in northeast Ohio.
Well, what town?
You know where Ashtabula is?
I do.
Well, that's it, about 20 miles south of there in a little crossroad called Rome, Ohio.
Wow, that's about 3 hours north of me there. That's way up there.
Yeah, and I know exactly where you are, that neck of the woods. I used to drive truck, and I've been all over Ohio, delivering all over the place. And I'll tell you what, southern Ohio is pretty damn pretty down that way.
It is a beautiful place, and we're pretty lucky to have the environment we're in, and heck, fall's coming up and all that pretty foliage around. Hey, you got to love it.
Well, the reason I came to Texas was because I lived right there about 20 miles south of Lake Erie, and that means snow, lake effect snow. So we either got 10 inches or 6 feet, just depending on where the line wanted to reach down to.
Well, Texas sounds real good when you start talking about snow, I can tell you that.
Oh, Texas is the most pretty place in the world to me. I'm like Alice in Wonderland some days. You can wake up and you can go outside, and the whole of the lawn can be just covered in purple flowers, and then you can go out 2 days later and there's white flowers, yellow flowers, and the wildflowers are just so pretty. Sometimes you can be driving down the road and you'll just be taken by these beautiful, amazing, big, tall red flowers, bright red flowers. It's just amazing. It's so pretty.
Oh, I love it. We're in Texas a lot, and coming up this year, next year, starting the 18th of January, all the way through the month of February, we're doing like 30-some odd shows, all the way down in the Rio Grande Valley. So, I love Texas, and Texas treats us really good, and the music is, people can relate with the great country music. It's just, when it comes to Texas, we're pretty far into Texas, that's for sure.
Have you done Austin City Limits yet?
I have not played Austin City Limits. I think at some point, that probably will happen, or we can cross our fingers and always hope to. But yeah, I would love to do Austin City Limits.
Oh, that would be fantastic to hear you on there. That's such a great show too. And my brother lives down there, so I've been around that part of the country quite a bit too. And it's man, you just love it. You get down there, it's fantastic.
Well, I have, when I've worked Texas, there's a gentleman who lives in Austin or just outside of Austin that plays steel guitar for me, and he always tells me what a great country music, just a music overall, music scene, how Austin is. And so, I would love to work off Austin and City Limits and all those areas there in Texas. It's just a great musical venue down there.
Do you have your own recording studio?
I have a little kind of home studio. I really wouldn't call it a studio. We got a little something that we can write demos and different things if we get great ideas or not so great ideas. We still have a little means to kind of get them started. But no, we don't have what you call a professional studio here in the barn. But we got a nice little something we can work with.
Hey, I got to ask you too. I want to get this in before I forget. Who wrote the song "Hold Your Horses"?
A guy named Billy Yates wrote that song, and Billy was a incredible songwriter. I say was, he is, and he's wrote so many great songs. He wrote songs for George Jones. He's charted, I think, 70 different songs that he's charted. Wow. He wrote the song "I Don't Need Your Rocking Chair" for George Jones. He wrote that Grammy Award song "Choices" for George Jones, and just on and on and on. It's just and it's a super guy to be around. He treated us really well. Produced our new album. You talk about a wealth of talent, and it's just an overall gentleman to work with. He was a great guy to be in the studio with and kind of chill around, buddy around with. It just turned out for a great experience and a great recording.
Yeah, I just got a chance to really listen to that song the other day, and I really wasn't too clear on the lyrics till I took a good listen, and I was like, wow, what a great tune.
Well, thank you. I'm pretty proud of that song. I'm proud of that entire album. The album you're talking about is our current album. It's called A Better Place. And, country music is really, really diverse. If you think about it, I love traditional music, and there's so many diverse aspects of traditional music. You've got Western swing. You've got 4/4 hard-driving honky-tonk music. You got that good old steel guitar crying in your beer music, and on and on and on. And I wanted this album to reflect all the different influences and all the different things that's influenced my life in it. And so there's really very few songs that's even somewhat similar on that album. I'm really, really proud of this one.
Do you write some of your own songs, or do you always have someone else write them?
Well, I didn't get any of my songs on this current album. I do write, and I have intentions to get at least one, maybe two, on the next album that we're currently working on. For me, just to put one of my songs on, just to say I put it on, I really don't think like that. I'm more about the song. The song has to be just all that for me. I've got to relate with it. I've got to connect with it, and I want to make sure that the 12 songs that make it on my album are the absolute best material that I can put on there. And if I can write something, that's great. But I don't just worry about me writing something to be writing it. I want to make sure that the album and the music speaks for itself.
Well, if it's anything like you've been doing, I can't see a problem with that.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Christine says she may have just found a replacement for Blake Shelton.
I love it. Well, we tell Christine thank you for me.
Well, what she means by that is she was messaging Blake Shelton to see if she could get him on the show, and she never got a reply. And she was a bit disheartened by it, and says, we have exactly what we need right here on the show. We've got all you amazing listeners, and we are totally happy with that. And sometimes, we get a bit annoyed sometimes if people don't reply, because I don't think that people should forget where they come from. We all come from somewhere, and it's fans and your loyal fans that put you where you are right now. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. You shouldn't forget your little people.
Exactly. When we're done, there's nothing better for me than when we're done with a show. If folks want to stand around and talk, or sign an autograph, or sign some merchandise, or just get to know somebody for a few minutes. I don't care if it's 15 or 150 or however many. I will make sure that I stay there with them, and I'm just proud to get to know these people and shake their hands and hug their necks and get to know them for a little bit. I look at it. They work hard, and they chose to spend their money to come to one of our shows. That's about as flattering as it gets for me. I really appreciate them fine folks.
Is guitar the only thing you play?
Well, that's really the only thing I play in the band. I play rhythm guitar, and I can play a little bit of bass and different things, but really I'm not really that talented at that. Not talented enough to do it on a stage. So I just really love playing that acoustic guitar and keeping that rhythm section going, and that gives me an advantage in a lot of ways. I can kind of, if I hear a song, I can grab my old guitar and maybe I can learn it real quick, or if I get influenced on something on the road, I can grab my guitar and write a tune or write some different lines down to the melody that comes to me. So yeah, I love my old guitar.
Which one of your songs gets the most requests?
Well, right now, the most requested song on our current album is called "She's Got Me Drinking Again," and oh my goodness, they get up and dance and hoot and holler and carry on. It's kind of like an old Joe Diffie song. It just kind of make you want to, stomp your feet and clap your hands and get them boots to moving. So that's probably our most requested song, and when we do our live shows, but. Our close second would be "A Better Place." It's our title track of our current album, and we get a lot of requests for that one.
Are you on the charts at all?
Oh yes, and we're really proud. Currently, there's a independent chart. There's a lot of independent charts out there that we're on. The one that we're the most proud of is called Roots Music, and they represent independent artists around the world. And we are currently at 25 weeks straight at number one with A Better Place right now. So we're really proud of that one.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, way to go.
Yes, sir.
And we don't get into the personal things. We could care less about that kind of thing. If anybody's interested in that, they can always pick up one of those busybody magazines or something. We like to get into the important stuff. Like my favorite question is,
who wants to know what you drive?
You got a 4-wheel drive truck?
Absolutely. I got a big Dodge 2008 Dodge Dually, 4-wheel drive. Man, that thing gets it done, man.
What is it with all you cowboys and these Dodge trucks now? Come on.
Well, what's a farm boy to do without a big, heavy 4-wheel drive truck on a farm? You got to have one. So
yeah.
I make mine work.
I'm all about that, but get a Ford.
Well, my bass player would hug your neck. He's a Ford kind of guy. I mean, he gives me grief because I don't have a Ford, but that's okay. I like Fords.
Do you go out and get it dirty?
Absolutely. It gets dirty all the time.
Now, see, that's the kind of thing I want to hear about. Some real guys being real people and out there having a real life and getting dirty and having fun.
Absolutely. We live on a farm here. You can't do too much without getting dirty. Either we're cutting hay or pulling something, or it's dirt on the farm. And my wife, she tells me how often she knows she's married to a hay farmer because I'm always tracking in dirt and hay to the house and stuff. So the trucks get it too.
That's the way to do it. Walk right in, sit right down. Oh, I'm all about that country life, boy. I wish I could live further out in the country, but, if you live in the country and you live in the mountains where I'd like to be with the running streams and all the wildlife, it's going to snow. That ruins everything.
Oh, my.
Well, the Brit over here, she's from England, of course, and, she's had snow and cold, and it's always kind of dreary, rainy, not exactly a sunshine kind of place. So I think being in the sunshine over here has really put her in her element now.
Well, that's all good. When I heard her talk, I knew she was from one of two places, either from England or Ireland. We got to play a show in Ireland with David Purcell last year,
really?
And that same comment, that same accent was heavily right there. I'm like, either she's one or the other. I know she got to be from one or the other.
Well, sure be Gora. Isn't that nice now?
Yeah, exactly.
At least you've not said I'm from London. Everybody always says, "Are you from London?" And I say, "No, I'm from Derby in the Midlands." And they say, "Is that near Scotland?" Oh, about 8 hours away.
Yeah, we did what's about. I don't know. We met online. She heard me doing this show, and I don't know what the hell made her listen to the show one day. And next thing you know, a couple years, how long was it? 3 years, and you finally came over here?
Yes.
About 3 years later, the British came back to America, and we let them in this time.
That's funny. Hey, I love that accent. When we were over there in Ireland, and we were over there for a week. And the northern part of Ireland is almost impossible to understand, but the southern folks have got a little slower twang about them, and I can kind of comprehend what they're saying. So,
well, you should hear her when she screams in British.
Oh, I bet that's entertaining.
Yes, I'm like, that's preposterous.
You're too much.
That's funny.
There. Oh, that's great. You've been overseas and played even. That's awesome.
Yeah, we had a blast over there. We got to do some radio shows, and a guy named, I can't think of his name right now, the guy on the TV show, daggone it, just slipped my mind. Anyhow, it come to me. He had a TV show, and we got to be on it, do a couple things with him, and currently we have a lot of our videos being played in Europe over there, and that's becoming a pretty good source of folks playing our stuff over there, and we're charting on different things in Europe, so we're really proud of that.
Well, we had the British invasion in the 60s. Well, now we can have the American invasion in England.
Absolutely. I'm all about that. That sounds great. Bring our country music over there to them.
And I tell you what, Americans stand out like a sore thumb in England.
What kind of horses you got over there?
Well, I got a couple quarter horses. I got a paint, got a little old pony, and my wife, she loves her little donkey. She's got 2 miniature donkeys and a full-grown standard donkey. So we got our share of hay burners around here.
Yeah.
But if you love what you got, and we do, it's a great feeling to open up the windows in the morning and see them out walking around, eating, enjoying life. That's a pretty sweet way to live.
Oh, yes, sir, it is. Just before I moved over here, we had up to 7 or 8 horses at one time. But I had a quarter horse. She had a thoroughbred, and we had 3 Lipizzaners. And boy, you should see them when they go prancing across the field out there. Just absolutely gorgeous.
It's really a great thing to be around people that love their animals, whether it's horses or cattle or whatever. Being around that agricultural way of life and loving an animal, that's pretty special to me.
Your wife seems like a pretty special gal, too. Good-looking woman, seems to back you up and support everything you do.
Well, my wife is the reason I'm having the success that I'm having. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I've known her about 30 years. We've been together a little over 11 years. And we were just talking one day, and she said, Richard, you really should record an album. And, I've always kind of just played live and didn't really decide to ever do that. And she just said, I'm serious. We need to get you scheduled. And we hooked up with a friend of ours in Nashville, and we recorded our first album. And it really did well for us. And this current album we got now has just exploded with interest around the country and around the world. And it's all because, in all honesty, my wife believed in me and the musicians that I play with enough to, insist that we get in the studio and do that. So if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. That's how amazing she is.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And let me ask you this. Do you remember what it was like the first time you got on stage in front of a decent crowd?
I do. I was 8 years old. My dad threw me up there.
Oh, way to go, Pop.
Yeah, I was bit by the country music bug, man. I said, this is fun. I got to do this.
Didn't even bother you all those people were watching you, huh?
Yeah, I mean, when you're a kid, you tend to have a pretty good advantage over everybody else, And if you can halfway sing, and I can say my dad was a great singer and well-known around our area, and the fact that I got to say I'm Woody's son made it so much easier for me in a lot of ways to get started. Now, once I had been there, I had to make sure that I excelled and kept doing like I was supposed to do, but it gave me a good advantage over a lot of folks just because I could say I'm Woody's boy, and so that was really something that made me, I guess, a little advantage over the other musicians around the area.
Do you ever get the jitters now?
No, it's been a long time since I've been nervous at a show or anything. I just try to. I'm really confident, and I lean hard on the musicians that I work with, and we all got a little sound together. Now, the only time I would be, somewhat jittery if I'm kind of hoarse or whatever. And once in a while, we kind of get a little sore throat. I just kind of second guess. I hope I'm not going to squeak on this one. But really, I haven't been nervous or jittery in a long, long time on these shows. I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah, that's great that you can just get up there and do that. And, that shows in your shows, too, when you come out there comfortable and just make everybody happy and get them singing along and feeling the music. Makes a big difference the way you act when you're up there.
Oh, I agree 100%. We got a young lady that we've kind of taken under our wings here in southwestern Ohio, and she just turned 21 years old, and she is so interested and loves this genuine country music, and we put her on our show, and at first, I could tell she was kind of sensitive, kind of scared, and kind of, not really comfortable. But it's really nice to watch them, gravitate and take that seriousness and be kind of one with themselves. And she's becoming quite fluent on the stage. It's great to see that confidence come in these youngsters. They still play this good traditional music, so we're pretty proud of her.
So tell us about the rest of your band.
Well, on our farm, I have several big barns, a horse barn, and we have a pretty unique situation here on our farm. We have a huge big barn that 3 or 4, maybe 5 times a year we'll play a country music show in our barn on our farm. Last month we had Buddy Jewell. He's become a friend of ours. He came up and did a show with us. And in October the 14th, we're having Ronnie McDowell come to our farm. And Ronnie McDowell, he's an awesome singer and player. He'd had all them hits back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've had people like Confederate Railroad out here. We've had a lot of folks that come out to our farm with us, and it seats about 400 people. Our barn does, and it's big enough to where it's a lot of fun, but it's still intimate to where if the folks that want to come and see our show, they can get to meet the artists and get to meet them and connect with them for a little bit. So it just makes it a great time.
Yeah. So do you have your own band that plays with you and travels with you, or do you just pick up
yes,
musicians
sir.
as needed?
Yes, sir. I have a 6-piece band that we travel all over the country with. I didn't take them to Europe, to Ireland with me. I do have plans at some point to do that. We're discussing some things right now on out of the country. So yeah, at some point that'll happen. But whenever we play in the States, I just I take my guys that I've been playing with all these years, and it really makes it a lot of fun for me because we have such a camaraderie and respect for each other that's been playing together for years, and it makes it easy actually that we can do these shows now because everybody knows what we're doing. Each other knows what we're doing.
It sounds like you guys would be great in a studio then. You just pretty much look at each other and know where it's going.
Well, there is some of that. We have recorded some live stuff and put it live in our shows and done a couple CD sales that way. So yeah, we have done some of that already. But to be in the actual studio, I've learned that these guys from Nashville, that's what they do. They're such talented guys, and you're against the clock. You got to get in there, and you got to make sure that your sound is done and your music as well. And so, we just stick with the Nashville musicians whenever we do the recording session on our albums.
Sounds like a great plan. So you guys pretty much got it all figured out. What's the future got in store for you? Well,
I mentioned, we're real excited about being able to get back in the studio here again with our up and coming album. We got that to look forward to. We've been playing all over the country. As a matter of fact, this weekend we're going to be playing the Georgia State Fair. That's a pretty substantial gig. If you go to our website, you can see a multiple bunch of places that we're playing around the country. If you just go to richardlynchband.com, bring it up, you will see all the different places, our locations. You can see all our merchandise we're selling, all the interviews, and it's just a great way to kind of get our music out there and to see folks.
And of course, you have a Facebook page.
Oh yeah, and that's like I said, the Facebook's on there. It's great. Like last night, we did a show up in a little town called Xenia, Ohio, and they had what they call an Old Timers Festival. And what it was about all the folks with their vintage farm machinery. And just an amazing bunch of folks. It's just great to be around folks that love that traditional music and have a respect for the country music. I just love being around them.
Well, Xenia's still standing, so that's a good thing.
So you know about Ohio, don't you?
Of course I do. How can you forget a tornado like that?
1974, it was the tornado went through Xenia. Yes, it was.
Actually, I remember a lot of 74 because that's when I got into business for myself before I graduated, and, a lot of things went on in 74. So, yeah, it's kind of hard for me to forget that kind of thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I guess we'll get out of here and let you go. We got a few more of your tunes to throw out here. Don't want to hold you up all night. You're a busy man, an important man, and you got a lot to do, and we can't thank you enough for coming by and hanging out with us. It's awesome.
Oh, but we have one last thing to ask.
All right.
What can you sing for us right now?
I'm a big Keith Whitley fan. I just listened to Keith a while ago, so he sang a song like, "It's amazing how you can speak right to my heart. Without saying a word, you light up the dark." I love old Keith Whitley, so I hope that was good enough there.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? You're the first one of our interviewees to actually do some singing. That's great.
Well, guys, thank you for having me. And to all your listeners out there, thanks for giving me the chance to kind of talk and get to know you folks out there. And just go to richardlynchband.com, and we'd love to see you folks and shake your hand and hug your neck and just see you out there on the road somewhere.
Well, thank you kindly, old farmer friend, and we'll see you along the hayride somewhere.
Sounds good. Thanks again, you guys.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
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 She's got me drinking again.